Before you open your mouth to speak again, before you send another message explaining your next move, stop and ask yourself this. Who are you trying to impress and what do you owe them? Because the truth is, most people are not listening to understand. They're listening to measure you, to box you in, to compare your blueprint to theirs and judge whether you deserve applause or doubt. And if they clap, it's not always because they support you. Sometimes it's because they want to keep you right where you are, predictable, exposed, and easy to define. Understand this. Silence is power. Privacy is protection. In a world addicted to oversharing, mystery is a weapon. Every time you speak of your dreams to someone who doesn't carry your fire, you dilute the potency of your purpose. Every time you hand over your plans to people who haven't earned your trust, you invite sabotage disguised as advice and doubt disguised as concern. Andrew Carnegie built an empire in steel not by shouting his strategies from rooftops, but by mastering the art of selective speech. He spoke when it mattered. He shared with those who had vision. And when he walked into a room, he didn't announce his next step. He let the results speak volumes. You must learn to do the same. Your silence is not weakness. It is intention. It is clarity. It is spiritual insulation from noise that would contaminate your mission. And in today's world, where people broadcast their breakfast, their breakdowns, and their bank balances, silence is rebellion. Silence is sacred. Silence is strength. Because here's the secret. When you're truly focused, you don't need validation. You don't crave claps. You don't measure the weight of your purpose by the reaction it gets online. You understand something deeper. Energy leaks when you speak too soon. Vision fades when you allow too many fingerprints on it. Thomas Edison didn't run around telling every man in town that he failed over 1,000 times. He just kept experimenting, quietly, relentlessly, until the light bulb wasn't a theory anymore. It was real. It was undeniable. And when it lit up, the world saw it without him saying a word. That is the energy you must carry. Stop giving people front row seats to a story they were never meant to understand. You think you're building support, but what you might be building is a gallery of critics who haven't done a damn thing worth mentioning. You think you're being transparent, but what you're really doing is inviting confusion, contradiction, and chaos. Let them wonder. Let them guess. Let your transformation confuse those who thought they knew you. Let your silence provoke curiosity. You owe no one the rough draft of your becoming. You owe them nothing until your results speak for themselves. Because the ones who truly walk in power, the ones who actually change the game, they are not the loudest. They are the most focused. They are the most disciplined. They are too busy becoming who they said they would be to explain the blueprint to people who've never built anything. If you knew the weight of what you're carrying, you wouldn't be so quick to expose it. You'd protect it. You'd guard it with the same intensity a mother guards her newborn. You'd recognize that what's forming inside of you, your dream, your plan, your growth, it's sacred. It doesn't belong to the world yet. It belongs to you. And it deserves to be nurtured in silence until it's strong enough to stand on its own. People don't need to understand the soil to respect the tree. Let your roots grow in secret. Let your greatness emerge unannounced. Because what's being built in silence will always speak louder than what's broadcast in noise. And when the moment comes, when the work is undeniable, when your success is too bright to ignore, then they will see, then they will ask, then you can decide who's worthy of your story. But until then, stay quiet, stay focused, stay dead. Because here's the harsh truth. When you speak too soon, you open a door too wide. And not everyone walking through that door is bringing blessings. Some carry seeds of doubt. Some come only to steal your confidence, to dim your fire, to plant fear in the soil of your ambition. They'll smile while do it. They'll say things like, "Are you sure that's realistic? Or maybe you should have a backup plan." Let me ask you, did Henry Ford have a backup plan when they laughed at the idea of horseless carriages? Did Walt Disney keep his dreams small just because 302 banks said no before someone finally believed in him? No, they didn't stop to explain their vision to people who lacked the imagination to see it. Because greatness requires a level of detachment from outside opinion. It demands tunnel vision. It requires you to shut your mouth, build your ark in silence, and let the flood prove your foresight. There's a reason lions don't concern themselves with the opinions of sheep. A lion walks with purpose, quiet, calculated, focused, not because it's weak, but because its strength is understood. It doesn't need to roar to prove itself. Its presence speaks, its eyes tell the story, its silence commands respect. And you too must walk like that, like someone who knows what they're building is too important to explain, too sacred to dilute, too divine to toss into casual conversation with people who can't carry the weight of what you're really trying to do. Don't let social media fool you into thinking your life must be a live broadcast. Your growth is not content. Your pain is not public property. Your elevation is not a group project. The world has trained you to believe that attention equals value, but that's a lie. Real value is in mastery, in movement, in the quiet discipline behind closed doors, in doing the work when nobody is clapping, in showing up again and again in private, without applause, without acknowledgement, because you believe in what you're building even when no one else sees it yet. If you want peace, protect your plans. If you want power, master your mouth. Because every time you speak prematurely, you hand over leverage. You invite opinions that don't belong. You start carrying weights that were never yours to bear. And worse, you begin to shape your progress around how people react, instead of how your soul resonates. That is how dreams die. Not through failure, but through overexposure, through letting too many voices inside the room before the foundation has even set, through inviting commentary when you should be inviting silence, through chasing praise when you should be chasing purpose. Don't do it. Move differently. Speak less. Do more. Build in silence. Let the results scream. Because results, they don't lie. They don't need convincing. They don't need an introduction. They stand on their own. That's what you're here to build. And if they ask where you've been, tell them, busy becoming who I said I would be. You see, the world respects mystery. The quiet ones, the ones who keep their heads down and their mouths shut, those are the ones who move mountains. They don't waste time explaining. They execute. They don't argue with doubters. They outgrow them. They don't react to noise. They rise above it. You're not here to be understood. You are here to become undeniable. And that means moving in silence until your arrival is too loud to ignore. So zip up your mouth, lock down your spirit, tighten your circle. Let your actions introduce you. Let your discipline define you. Let your results shock the ones who thought they knew your limits. And above all, let your silence remind the world that real power needs no permission to rise. People say, but I need support. I need people to understand what I'm going through. And yes, connection is human, but not all connection is constructive. Some of it drains you, some of it delays, some of it disguises itself as friendship when really it's quiet surveillance. Not everyone who listens to you is rooting for you. Some just want a front row seat to your struggle so they can say, I knew you wouldn't make it. Don't give them that chance. Keep your journey sacred. Keep your transformation private. The soil doesn't explain to the world how it holds the seed. It just does. It nurtures it. It protects it. It allows the roots to form in silence far from the surface. Because only when the roots are deep enough, strong enough, grounded enough, only then can the flower rise and survive the storm. You want to grow? Then stop speaking like you've already arrived. You want peace? Then stop inviting commentary on a path nobody else has to walk but you. We live in an age where everything is instant. Instant food, instant results, instant opinions. But the soul doesn't move in speed. It moves in depth. It doesn't need likes. It needs alignment. And alignment requires solitude, stillness. A kind of holy silence where only your creator, your conscience, and your calling exist. That is the space where true transformation begins. Look at the legends. Lincoln faced decades of failure before he ever became a president. But he wasn't tweeting his every move. He was studying, learning, building steel in his spine. Edison didn't need a support group to keep inventing. He needed obsession, quiet madness, faith in something nobody else believed was possible. If you're going to become extraordinary, you have to be willing to be misunderstood. You have to be okay being called crazy, obsessed, delusional. Let them call you whatever they want. Just don't stop building. Don't stop believing in the thing burning in your chest just because someone who stopped dreaming 10 years ago tells you it's too hard. Here's what they won't tell you. Some people are addicted to your old self. They only loved you when you were easy to predict, easy to reach, easy to feel better than. But now, your silence makes them uncomfortable. Your discipline exposes their laziness. Your focus convicts them. That's not your problem. Let them choke on their assumptions. Let them wrestle with their discomfort. You don't owe them a performance. You don't owe them access. Growth demands isolation, and purpose has no room for permission slips. You must be willing to disappear for a season, to go ghost, to shut down the noise, the group chats, the comparisons, to step away from the crowd, the camera, the endless updates, and get real with yourself. What are you really doing this for? Fame? Validation? A few compliments from people who don't even know your soul? Or are you doing this because you've heard something deeper, a whisper from God, a fire in your spirit, a burden on your heart you can't ignore? If it's the latter, then you cannot keep handing that vision to people who do not carry your frequency. They'll never understand it, and they're not supposed to. Stop trying to convince the blind to see your light. Just shine, because once the vision manifests, once the work pays off, once your life starts reflecting the prayers you whispered in the dark, they'll notice, they'll talk. They'll say they always knew. Let them lie to themselves. You'll be too busy becoming everything you were born to be. There's a version of you the world hasn't met yet. The version that doesn't flinch when things get hard. The one who doesn't need to announce every move because he's too busy executing. The one who doesn't explain herself anymore because she's too deep into alignment to entertain opinions that carry no weight. That version of you is being forged in silence, not in the noise of social media, not in the spotlight of validation, but in the quiet hours when no one's watching, when your only companion is discipline, when your only feedback is the mirror. You see, most people are addicted to reaction. They need the dopamine hit of likes and comments to feel alive. But the elite, the ones who build legacies, they operate from a different source. They move from principle, not performance, from faith, not feedback, from vision, not validation. That's who you're becoming. The person who can be trusted with power, the person who can handle wealth, success, impact, not because they crave attention, but because they've built the character to carry it. And character, my friend, is never built in the public eye, it's built in the unseen. It's what you do when no one is watching. It's the reps you put in behind the curtain. The sacrifices no one applauds. The lonely nights where you choose the long road over the shortcut. The days you show up when no one notices. Especially then, your silence is sacred ground. Don't trade it for noise. Don't cheapen your transformation by narrating it to people who haven't even earned a seat at your table. There is a time to speak, and it will come. But right now, you're still in the fire, still in the forge, still being sharpened, still becoming. Let the process work on you. Sorry, let it break you, bend you, build you, without announcing every bruise to the world. Because when you finally emerge stronger, wiser, sharper, they won't believe what they're looking at. They'll think you changed overnight, but you'll know the truth. You bled for this, you suffered for this. You died to your old self and were reborn in silence. That is transformation. And here's the brutal truth. Some people can't come with you, not because they're bad, not because they hate you, but because they were only assigned to your past, not your future. They were aligned with your old self, the version of you that overshared, over-explained, over-apologized. But that version is dying, or it should be. And every time you keep talking, keep updating, keep explaining, you're keeping that old version alive. You're dragging a corpse into your destiny. And it's weighing you down. Let it go. Let them go. Let you evolve. Because you're not who you were 6 months ago. You're not even who you were last week. And if you're doing this right, if you're really locked in, then you're becoming someone so powerful, so aligned, so untouchable, that your silence will thunder louder than 1,000 speeches. That's how real growth works. It doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need a parade. It just is. Quiet. Resolute. Unapologetic. So don't tell them. Show them. With your energy, your execution, your elevation. Because the highest level of power is not in what you say, it's in what you don't have to say anymore. Because when you stop telling everyone what you're doing, something magical happens. You stop performing and start becoming. You stop shaping your life for applause and start building it for impact. You stop leaking energy into empty spaces and start channeling it into movements that matter. There is a discipline, an inner fire, that gets ignited when you choose silence over self-exposure. You begin to feel your strength differently. You walk differently. You wake up with a different kind of intensity because you're not feeding your spirit to strangers anymore. You're not throwing pearls before swine. You're preserving your sacred momentum. Let them think you've fallen off. Let them think you've quit. Let them misread your silence for failure. Because what they don't know is that while they were watching others, comparing, gossiping, and scrolling, you were sharpening your sword, training your mind, strengthening your soul, creating from the depths while they danced in the shadows. By the time you re-emerge, it'll be too late for them to catch up. Because evolution doesn't shout, it builds quietly. And when it finally reveals itself, it's undeniable, it's unshakable, it doesn't need defense or explanation. It's like a phoenix rising from the ash without warning, like a storm that builds in silence but strikes with fury, like a king who walks into a room and doesn't need to announce his crown, because the energy introduces him before he says a word. That's what silence gives you: presence, power, precision, and above all, peace. The kind of peace that comes when you stop begging to be understood, when you stop performing for the approval of people who don't have the capacity to comprehend your assignment, when you stop narrating your transformation and just let it happen. You know who else walked like that? Martin Luther King Jr. He didn't share every step. He moved with strategy, with spiritual clarity. He knew that the movement was bigger than him, and he protected it. And when he spoke, it wasn't noise, it was revelation. That's how you must speak when it's time. Not out of insecurity, not out of impatience, but from a place of stillness and divine timing. Until then, work in the dark. Let your nights be long and silent. Let your mornings be sacred. Let your grind be private and holy. Because there's a version of you that requires full commitment and full protection. Not everyone deserves access to your becoming. This is your incubation season. You are not lost, you are hidden. Hidden by design, hidden by grace, hidden for preparation. Because the most dangerous thing you could do right now is expose a masterpiece before the paint has dried. You wouldn't dig up a seed to prove it's growing. You wouldn't rip open a cocoon to show someone there's a butterfly inside. So stop tearing open your plans just to validate your process. They'll see it when it's ready. They'll see it when you're ready. And when they do, they'll realize that the silence wasn't absence. It was alignment. That the quiet wasn't weakness. It was warfare. That your isolation wasn't a fall. It was formation. You don't need to tell them, because what's coming will speak for itself. So breathe deep, warrior. Stand still in your silence. Feel the ground beneath you. The unseen roots you've been planting in pain, in patience, in solitude. That ground is sacred now. You earned it. You bled on it. You've cried on it when no one was there to listen, when no one cheered, when no one even noticed. And still, you rose. Still, you kept going. Still, you chose to build in the dark, not complain in the spotlight. That's power. That's legacy. That's the mark of those chosen not for noise, but for impact. Let others scream for attention. Let them post and brag and perform. You're doing something different, something rare, something eternal. You're building a life so grounded in who you truly are that it doesn't need decoration or description. You're not just chasing success. You're becoming sovereign. And sovereign people are not addicted to validation. They don't chase opinions. They walk with authority. They move with meaning. They understand that the most valuable currency is not attention, it's peace. The peace of knowing you're aligned with your vision. The peace of knowing your steps are ordered. The peace of knowing you don't need to explain a damn thing. Because God already signed off on it. Because the fire in your soul is the only confirmation you need. Let them speculate. Let them talk. Let them wonder. That's their role. Yours is to keep becoming, to stay locked in, tuned in, grounded, to keep refining your mind, your mission, your soul, until your very existence becomes a message no one can ignore. Not because you shouted, but because you embodied it, because you became. Because your results now whisper what your mouth no longer needs to say. I did the work. I walked the walk. I became the storm, and if they never hear your side of the story, good. Because legends don't explain, they live.